All right. First off, just want to say thank you again to everybody that made last Saturday happen. The one thing about game day is there's a lot that goes into game day before game day ever gets here, right? From ticket sales to all the things that go on around the stadium, from parking to taking care of the stadium to event management. So many things that I know I don't see, but you guys or the fans see it on a daily. So there was a lot that went into it. I text Josh and a big group of his people. I just wanted to say thank you again. Like, those moments are very special. Obviously, wins help, but when they enjoy the experience and they can go home with a smile on their face and the way that they're treated and taken care of as fans, I think is a very, very special thing. So say thank you to that again. I was going to run through our MVPs. Sometimes I move on to the next opponent, forget to give recognition to one. So second week in a row, Pat Bryant offensively, Luke Altmaier, Melvin Priestley, and J.C. Davis. Thought Melvin and J.C. in particular, both those guys made big jumps from game one to game two. Very apparent. Fun part for us is the defensive look team guys going against it, emulating KU all week. We really felt up front. They had a couple of inside players that were good players, and General Hunt has been impressive, just keeps getting better every week. I know he hasn't got on the field for us at this point, but just really impressive young man in our program. Excited to see where he goes. And then Vernon Woodward is a corner that I thought KU, in theory, probably might have the best pair of matchup corners that we might face, since I've been here, and probably one of the better tandem group of guys that we'll see this year. So I thought Vernon did an exceptional job emulating those guys. Defensively, Xavier Scott, and I believe 5 minutes ago it just got announced he was the Big Ten Defensive Player of the Week as well. I think there might be some other accolades coming his way sooner than later, so really excited for Xavier. Miles, two guys that just continue to be impressive. I think they're the only tandem in college football that had both 2 interceptions on the season as well, so rare air there, really excited. And then a couple newcomers, Dennis Briggs, really has been a guy since last spring. Has been impressive to me to see where he's come. And then I know he had the roughing call earlier. I think it was because he kind of hit him high. It wasn't when it was late. I think it was where he hit him. But was a very opportunistic guy. Made some plays behind the line of scrimmage. Really impressive him. Caleb Patterson at corner is just again since last spring to where we are today been very impressive. Offensive look team guys. Trey Petty, again, just a very, probably a different quarterback prep than it was against Eastern Illinois, but he emulated and did a really good job of showing us exactly what we thought KU's quarterback would do, and did a really, really nice job all week doing that. Bangers, also an offensive lineman, has really continued to get better for us every week, and an exciting guy to be around. So those two guys were look team players. Special teams MVPs, James Kreutz. James is a 4-core guy for us. James starts on every special team. He's got a lot of reps on the line of scrimmage, but had 3 tackles and 10 reps on special teams on punt cover and kickoff coverage. Was a force to be reckoned with. And then also David Olano, just the 3 field goals, right? Just the execution of that. Obviously the snap, the hold, the protection have all got to be there, but really, really impressive. And then Tyler McClure, who's a young man, a lot of you guys know him from the Champaign area, just continues to do great work every day. Super excited. He was our special teams look team guy as well. So with that being said, I thought our guys turned the page yesterday. So on Sundays, we come over here. We basically put the game to bed, try to take advantage of the teachable moments, offense, defense, special teams. I have a short presentation, do a lot of the MVPs, and talk about some big picture items. And we usually take a break. We have a victory meal tradition here on Sundays that is pretty awesome. I think our guys took full advantage of that. And then we bring them back and kind of just turn the page, jumped into Central Michigan, obviously a 1-on-1 football team that 2 different games for them, overall, but have a tremendous amount of respect for, again, a head coach that I know fairly well. Guys that are on that staff I've known for a while. Coach Akey, their D coordinator, had been a guy that I got to know back in the day when he was at Idaho. Just really impressive staff. I think they do a good job overall. I know they'll come in here ripping and roaring. They play big-time opponents every year, and obviously this is a third step for us, a home game. We knew out of the gate that we were going to have 3 home games before we go on the road, and this is that last step in this road. So I think our guys will take the challenge very, very personal this week, and I'm excited to see where they can go and move on from. So with that, open it up.
Aaron talked about the key. Now that the outside world is going to heap praise on them,
yeah,
for you guys to rein them back in. What's the key to that for a team to kind of flush that?
I do think this team, since last January to where we are, they show me they have an edge. And then, to be completely honest, probably one of the most refreshing things for me on Sunday. You know, again, Bret and Dan do a good job. They send me quotes from our players and several guys, even new guys. Zakari had a comment about, hey, we'll take this film, we'll watch it and flush it and move on to our next one. I thought our guys turned the page from the Eastern Illinois to Kansas, which you normally knew that was going to happen, but even as early as yesterday afternoon, just the detail, the preparation, the guys coming in on Sundays, guys coming in today on Mondays, our day off to watch Central Michigan and get a good full hold on them, I think is pretty impressive. So that was probably one of the big ones that jumped out to me. Is just, I don't think it's just rhetoric. I think they really believe it.
Talk about the defense playing with an edge on Saturday. Like, what gives them that edge? How do you see that play out?
You know, I give a lot of credit to Josh Kreutz. I let guys get up and talk in fall camp, and Josh got up and talked about playing with an edge. And while he was giving his talk, I think everybody in that room responded because they know that's how Josh plays. And so we've been kind of making that kind of a theme for everything: offense, defense, special teams, the defensive edge, no doubt in my mind, is being able to play the next snap. Right, like we all know, plays are going to happen. Even Saturday, they had kind of one series where it kind of got away, and they responded back very favorably right away. I told them yesterday one of our keys for the entire team was to play complementary STD, what we call our STD, TSD, tough, smart, dependable edge, right? And I think the big thing for us defensively was sometimes when things aren't going well, complementary football isn't how well the offense plays or the special teams, or vice versa. If the offense isn't doing well, have a defense make a play. It's sometimes within a unit where a player makes a play, right? So Xavier Scott rallying that, pick six, right? Xavier Scott, pick six. Miles Scott with another red area interception, right? Just made it a tremendous break on the ball. Sometimes those complementary moments come from one player rising up above the moment and putting the unit on his back, and that's exactly what happened. I tell you, a critical play for me, this is the second week in a row where, we put Mac Rossetti's back there. The punt returner has had zero issues last spring, all fall, right? And we gave him another opportunity this week. So where that goes this week, I don't know. But I will tell you this. We commonly talk about is not what happens, it's how you react to what happens. And to have a young man drop a punt deep in our territory, and he fought his tail off to get that ball back, right? There's a swarm of KU players that are going to be all around it, and he came out of that pile with the ball, which obviously was a tremendous point for us to not only give up points, but also to put that ball on a 20-yard line. So, again, a really bad moment where someone can feel sorry for themselves or respond and have the proper response. And his proper response within a split-second reaction was absolutely phenomenal.
You mentioned it after the game on Saturday, but their stats, I know it's only 2 weeks, but Luke's on deep balls is one of the more efficient guys in the country on deep throws. Is there something, Barry has said he's always felt like he was talented in that regard, but is there something different that you're seeing from last year to this year on that?
So one of the things that happens a lot as coaches, and then I would say this is probably more of an NFL thing, and I meet with the scouts every day, is they like comparables, right? And they who are people like? And the one thing I've always said about Luke, since I was first around him, even when I watched his early tape, right, and then got around him in the first spring, he literally has all the touches, right? Sometimes quarterbacks have a good intermediate ball, but they may be struggling to deep ball. Maybe they are great on soft touch, but they can't fire one in there. And Luke has been a very impressive quarterback, and all the ones I've ever been around. He kind of reminds me of arm talent-wise, since I've been around him, of Brandon Allen, who's a young man that's been in the league about 8 years, that kind of similar demeanors, personality. Now, Luke could be Red Grange out here running that race compared to some of those other cats he's run against, although I know he got beat on Saturday apparently. But, Brandon was a good quarterback who really couldn't run very well, right? And Luke has, even on that quarterback draw, right, like him to sift through there, his vision is really good. But I think the conversion rate is probably a little bit of a combo platter between our protection, our delivery of the football, and then also just you got really good players that he's catching the ball to, right? Like obviously Pat's been very, very good. You saw the deep connection to Zakari, right? I'm going to tell you that Ashton Hollins and Malik Elzy are very, very good deep ball threats as well, I think, with that size and that speed, because now their catch radius is just a lot bigger than small receivers. So really good there.
Just outside that top 25 this week, I think you're next team.
Yep.
Does that matter to you at all? Is it a big deal? Pointed out the guys did it or not?
I didn't. The only thing I pointed out was the guy that locally votes for us voted as 24, right? Most people that are around programs vote their home team up really high, right? Like that's something that happens, right? But I think the great thing right there is just you know a lot about us, right? And I think the part you should do, right, is champion the moment for all of us, right? Like I know it happens commonly amongst other places. I've seen it happen at 3 different places I've been at. So when your only vote matters, like I'm just asking you, yeah, well, I'm just telling you, right? Like I'm not asking for votes. I'm just telling you to vote with what you know. So I think the part that our players, I think from the outside world take respect in it. I think we'd be oblivious to the fan base. Think it doesn't matter, right? And then also just in today's world, social media where it is, stuff like that is good. But you know, I don't vote on the coaches poll for one reason, right? I don't want to have anybody talk to me about the way I voted, right? I used to vote on it all the time, so I refuse to vote on that poll, and it doesn't really factor into the ultimate poll, which is a CFP, right? So right now, without that ranking, that's the only thing everybody gravitates to. But I think our guys have had an edge for the right reasons. They want to play football. They want to win games. And I think that part was really, really cool to see that play out on Saturday. It wasn't about Kansas. It wasn't about their ranking. They wanted to play in the first rematch game where it was.
Coach, coming off the win against a top 25 team and maybe looking around at the league a little bit and how some other teams have played, do you take a moment to look at the upcoming schedule and think maybe you have more of an opportunity than you thought you might have had?
Yeah, to be honest, right, because of the timing of that game, I didn't even know. We were, it was a longer game, and then we had the, post-game celebration, press conference, had some recruits on campus, right? So my girls were at the game, so I actually spent a little bit of time with them. So I really didn't get home probably closer to when I went and saw Robert's fire truck. So it was like 12, I think it was like a little after 12, but I got to see the last phase of the Oregon game, right? And then I flipped on my phone and started going through scores, and last time I heard the Iowa score, I thought they were up, right? I saw a little bit of the Penn State game just because we'd sat around in the hotel. I'd watched the Northwestern game the night before, so we always pay attention to what's going around us, right? But on Sundays, I usually take a moment with our team to kind of just talk about what's in front of us and what's ahead of us, right? And I wouldn't say I would paint a picture like what you're saying, but I do think our guys understand the moment they're in. To be a 2-0 football team here at Illinois out of the gate is an awesome feeling. The chance to play a homecoming game against Central Michigan, hopefully get that crowd back to a similar state, right? Like whatever number ends up showing, I think they'll be excited. It'll be 11 o'clock kickoff, which will be the first one for us this year, so I know that's a challenge for our guys, but a lot of things to be excited about.
Extra recruiting after a win like that, Bret, on Sunday?
Well, what was unusual is just on the field, right? Like I had guys come up and grab me, and like first year little, my family was out there, so I was my little one was a little bit rattled. But then I just, I know one 2026 offer grabbed me on the shoulder, right? And I saw him and his dad. And then because of the timing of our game, I come to the stadium about 2 hours and 15 minutes ahead. I met 3 2026s that we had offered that were pretty prominent kids in our recruiting process. But there was probably, I think, nine total 2026s that were here with offers in their hands. We had several committed guys that I hadn't been able to see, and to see a lot of them out there on the field was pretty cool. And then, my phone was busy on Sunday trying to hit those guys up. And also have gotten a couple calls since that time too, right? That, people that were maybe not feeling the same way about Illinois maybe 6 months ago.
You guys did a little shuffling minimally on the right guard position on Saturday. What are you seeing from the interior of the line, and what are you guys trying to sort?
Well, really, Zai, since he's been here, we've rotated guys in at that position. So, I'd say the Eastern Illinois game, because of the way it flowed, I wanted to stress our ones. I didn't let our guys. I didn't want them subbing out. I wanted the guys that started the game to start the second half. I wanted to go a couple series. So there was probably a little bit of that game was different from what you'll see in the future. But I think we wanted to rotate guys in at right guard. I think as a whole, that was the only position on the offensive line that we had that planned in. It kind of happens naturally, almost all other positions, because D linemen sub all the time. O-line is one of those really rare breeds where if you really want to rotate, you probably have to have a pre-thought rotation. And I think you'll see more of that, especially at the right guard, maybe a little bit at left guard, and see where it goes. But super excited about the growth of that line, and I thought Zai played a lot better game than he did the week before, too.
It was a sold-out game, comeback victory. As a head coach, do you ever rank this win? Was this one of the best wins you've had at Illinois?
It's the latest one. They're all really good. I mean that with all due respect. Like anytime you get out on top and get away with a W, I've said in the past, like a very wise man I grew up under always told me to celebrate all the ones you get on the right side of, right? So I definitely felt good about that. I think the teachable moments are so much more realistic and better heard on wins, right, than losses, right? So one of the things I really stressed to my staff, because we got a lot of new people in the room, but I was very proud of our staff, right? On that rematch game, defensively, Aaron and that defense staff, I thought offensively to come back and respond. We started off kind of on fire, had that takeaway early that kind of put us into a lull, and then to have the response in the second half was awesome to watch. So I really wanted my staff to hear me on, hey, we've got their attention. Let's take care of these teachable moments, right? Because there was a lot of things on film that we need to clean up and that our opponents will see. So as far as rankings, they're all pretty good, man. To get a win at home in front of a sellout crowd, I realize that's a big deal here, right? And very opportunistic. I saw some of our best donors, right, and some of the people that are very critical to our success here had a lot of. I can't even. When I turned on my phones, I didn't even try to respond to anybody that night, just because it was so many people reaching out, which is awesome. But again, people remove the wins are obviously a very, very good thing, but it's the experience of that day that really makes fans for a lifetime. And for Josh and I, we've always said sustainable success has got to come through repeated behavior, right? And this is a big step in that direction.
Do you have any personal history with Central Michigan or with their coaching staff?
No, I hired a head coach once. Dan Enos was the head coach at Central Michigan, and I hired him as my offensive coordinator at Arkansas. Jim and I've, back when he was head coach of Florida to where we are, have really just kind of crossed paths in that regard. It's kind of the same temperament, same personalities. A great dude, and I know several coaches on their staff. I've got great respect for anybody in the in the MAC. I called Thomas Hammock on the way home Saturday night. My wife and I loved Thomas. Thomas was with us for a long time at Wisconsin. Another one of my former coaches doing an unbelievable job, right? And he and I have always kind of had good banter. So I called him and he didn't pick up. So I sent him a text. I said, "Okay, big timer, right?" And then he called me and he could barely talk, right? So I know that was a big moment for him. A lot of respect for the guys in that conference, just overall. That conference, that division of football has just been one of the best in college football, sustainable.
Injury standpoint, did you guys get out of that?
Yeah, got out pretty healthy. A couple guys popped up on Sunday. Don't foresee anything that's going to change our math. Overall, there's one guy that's a little bit in question, but I do think Goda could be back with us on Saturday. T. Strain, who had been a guy that projected to play a lot of snaps for us, he was cleared. I think he got cleared on Wednesday. We felt good about it, but I just didn't really want to go. And then we played well and whatnot. So he did get on some special teams, so he'll be back there more and more.
Kaneno was such a big part of what
Yeah.
you guys did defensively last year. I just don't feel like we've seen him in that regard. Is he fully back?
Yeah, he's fully back. He got cleared really literally right about before we started fall camp. I think Kaneno would be the first to tell you, he's literally one of the best DNA guys in our building, right? Just like he believes and loves the game, the way he's trained. I think I go back all the time to when I first called about him in recruiting, and Coach said, Bret, I don't know exactly what he's going to play. I just think he'll play, right? And developed in our program so good. I think that injury was just a very intense injury, and he's back, and I know he's cleared, but it's probably not quite the same at this point. But he's doing an incredible job for us on all four phases of the kicking game. His intentionality is awesome. He shows up every day to practice. We have played Saturday a lot more defense with two linebackers on the field. And he just, because of the timing of when he came back, Ryan Mead had taken advantage of the opportunity. Ryan's playing his best football. Dylan Rosiak is playing at a high level. Cruci had done a really nice job. Malachi Hood had done a nice job. So really just to get out there and take advantage of the moment, there haven't been a lot of them out there. I think we only played, if I'm not mistaken, the Eastern Illinois game, we only played about a half a dozen snaps with two linebackers on the field. So the chances just really hadn't been there.
Dating back to the Northwestern game, Miles Scott's got an interception in 3 straight games now. I mean, do you use him as maybe an example now of if you're broaching a position change with somebody who's like, we're doing this for a reason, we see this could be something good for you?
Yeah, I did it actually in our opener because he intercepted one against Toledo, ran back for a touchdown, right? So I've used examples of the past, right? Guys that played multiple positions in high school. My only regret with Xavier is I didn't do it the spring before, right? I just think he built a skill set there that was really impressive and excited for us. And now you're seeing the benefit of just repeated behavior, right? Miles, now he just looks different, right? I saw him, he hollered at me when I was I was going into an academic Zoom this morning at 11 o'clock, and I heard somebody yell, but I didn't think it was Miles because I saw him, and then I turned around, and man, he just looks like a defensive player now. He's thicker, he's stronger, he's athletically, just got the look of a DB now. I think he's fully done the transitional switch and made the official crossover. I'm going to my XM radio content this morning. We're trying to get these guys a little promo.
What did you see from the run game to get that going moving forward? What do you want to see? Whether it's
well, again, I think I see a lot of talented guys. Obviously, I'm sure people were surprised at the end of the game to put Khalil Valentine in there, but I went in and actually gave Thad a handshake hug on Sunday morning because he's the guy that made that decision to put him in that moment. And I think when you have position coaches that have the confidence to do that, speaks volumes, right? Like, I'm not saying it won the game, but that was he kind of came in and did something a little different there that gave us a couple of first downs. But on the flip side of it, you're right. I believe one of the critical, crucial plays in the game was a 3rd and 9 conversion to Caden Fagan as a run. I don't think people probably had that one on their bingo card, right? Like to get a key conversion on a 3rd and 9, basically the 4th read for Luke to get that. And then Caden, he was short of the sticks. Caden leaned over and got it. Also, Caden's that 4th and 1 early in the game was a big play. So I think we've got multiple guys. Aiden, it wasn't quite there yet. He got cleared, but he had a little soft tissue injury coming out of the opener that kind of repeated back up yesterday. So he's cleared. He should be good to go. But we didn't want to stress him on Saturday after he got rolled up once.
Caleb Patterson, did he need last year to have the success that he's had?
Yeah, I think some of those junior college guys, right, just like, first when we saw Caleb on film, I'm like, whoa, right? And then you go see him in person. And I remember I walked in the door and saw him physically, and I'm like, whoa, this is longer than I'd actually thought, right? And then, but I think sometimes when those and again, he was a full academic qualifier, right? So we put a lot into finding junior college kids that are full high school qualifiers, just because I know you're dealing with a person that can be successful here at Illinois. And I thought he might come in and play, but after a while you could see he had the confidence. It was a big turning point for him last year. We put him in as a guy that defended their flyer, right, on the punt team, which is probably one of the toughest draws to play in college football, to be quite honest, to put you on an island and defend a guy that, was running full go at your punt with a ball in the air. He did it unbelievably well. Really jumped out to me, so I knew it was coming. And then really just the diligence from the spring, the summer, the fall. I thought him and Corey, the connection those two have made have been really good. I couldn't be happier. Torrey Cox played another pretty good game as it goes. I know T. Brooks didn't get in, but T. Brooks probably had his best week of practice out there to put himself in a position, hopefully, to be there. Jaheim Clark had his best week of practice. So now we got 3-4 corners that you feel comfortable with, and that's good. And that's taking Xavier out of the mix because we're going to play T-Strain inside. But Xavier just continues to, I can't say enough about that young man. Like, he's just opportunistic, tough, intelligent. Really, really, really impressed with who he is and where he's becoming. I think that allows those other guys to play well around him.